Now, I want to start things off by saying I understand just how painful it could be losing playing this game over and over, especially if you've been in it for a while and you feel like you're just not getting the results. The good news is that this can all be fixed. It just takes some technical skills that you can build up over time, but you also need to become an emotionally stronger person to deal with the stuff this game throws at you, and I'll get more into that. But it took me a long time to get to a place with this where I could quietly have the confidence to play mid stakes and continually dominate year over year. But here we are, and I'm just saying I get it, which is why we also have a community you guys could learn more about in the pinned comments. You could also talk to me one on one in there, but a lot of good stuff. So give it a whirl when you have some time. I'm also going to be covering 3 smart poker tips that can instantly improve your game. Now, these are sort of advanced tips because I don't want to throw any fluff at you guys and be as real as possible. But the first tip is to start exploiting opponents at your tables. And what I mean by exploit is if you notice that a couple players are using a strategy and just kind of like sitting back waiting for hands, or possibly using GTO, you can exploit them by raising bad boards when they have a couple of overcards, or just apply more pressure with weaker hands. Now, you'd be amazed how much this can open up your game and take you to the next level. Second would be to not just float the flop more when you miss the board, but mix things up and raise against opponents who think they have you beat. I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say you've got ace king and the board comes out like a brick. It's like 2 6 9, all different suits. Now, instead of just calling a raise by your opponent, if they throw something at you, consider raising them in this spot, since they likely have a weak hand anyways. And if they do call you, you could always spike an ace or an overcard or a face card on the turn. Lastly would be to really work on the emotional side of playing this game. So this is so big that no one talks about it really, but if you miss it, it doesn't matter how talented you are as a player. You're always going to find yourself re-upping and stuck in the hamster wheel of never truly getting anywhere. Emotional intelligence playing comes down to really not getting upset after a bad beat and looking at this as a long-term thing, not a short-term thing. Okay, I think these are 3 solid tips for you guys to mull over at least, because believe me, they will make a difference. Next, I'd like to get into some of this. And stick around to the end because it was a good one. Tap the like and let's freaking go. Okay. Okay. And I played pretty tight in this. Nothing too nothing too unexpected, but we are gonna have some very interesting spots, and I think it definitely worth you guys' time to kind of just sit here and we could kind of just go over it. Also, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you could always message me below and I will get back to you. But here we go. We are doing this, okay? But I mean, kind of back to the emotional part of this, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, like, let's say you're doing really good and then, you take a bad beat and then it just kind of like everything falls apart. Whenever I take a bad beat, I just have become numb to it, and it's something that I would say is like a skill, and it takes time, right? It was something that I was not good at in my 20s, but as I got a little bit older in like my 30s, and I'm in my 30s right now, yeah, I started to just understand that, like, you just gotta not let it get to you, because once it gets to you, it just throws everything off. And everyone's got different triggers for what's going to set them off, like, emotionally, you know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out what your triggers are and kind of just go from there. And it really is a skill, and having all the technical skills and everything is obviously something you need, but the emotional side of this it's huge, and it can't be overlooked or understated. And if you need help with that, like I said, I get it. I've been through it all, and I continue to go through it all. I just have a strong passion for playing. That's why I'm always playing, and I've been playing for so long. Okay, anyways, played that last hand kind of poorly, to be honest with you guys, but we have pocket fours here, and this is going to be interesting. So I've said this before. If you're first or second to act with these small pocket pairs, you can open. I think limping is totally fine too. The reason being, you have so many players to act after you, and you don't want to have to like put in a lot with a small pocket pair, right? You'd rather just make a call and see if you can get something. Now, if we were on the button with pocket fours, like in a different position, it's totally different. But like first or second to act with these small pocket pairs, kind of like small suited connectors, yeah, I think limping is fine. Okay, I really do. You don't always have to, but every once in a while it's fine. Now player three is going to open here, do 25. We are going to make this call. And yeah, it was a good board for us. And I think that the way was thinking about this was like, you know, player three is going to have a lot of maybe ace kings, ace queens, maybe some mid pocket pairs, jacks, queens, whatever. But this board, like, what else could we ask for here? It's very likely he has nothing. Okay, and you know, don't want to scare him off. I just want a good turn card to come that's not gonna put a diamond out there. If a diamond did come on the turn, like an ace of diamonds or a king of diamonds, I'm not going to be that worried about it. But I prefer, you know, like an ace of spades or an ace of clubs or something, you know. And we got it. So we got the ace of clubs. That was the card we were looking for. Now we have to assume player three has a strong ace, right? Ace queen, ace king. That's what we're going to be targeting here. And basically, he ended up getting a little bit out of line here. Excuse me. And the way I played this, I think, was masterful. Okay. So he's gonna put out a little sizing here because, you know, we've already put him on an ace. Pretty good sizing. Now we can't just call here. We gotta build this up a little bit. So I went for a min here, which I think is super sneaky, and it almost looks semi bluffy. You know what I mean? So you go for a min here. What are you repping? I don't know. Some kind of draw. I would think it to do, if somebody did this to me in this spot, I'm probably putting them on two pair. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. It doesn't. If someone did this to me, I would not think it was a bluff. I would probably be putting them on like a weird two pair, like a 7-4, maybe like an ace three, ace four type of hand. So player three had a decision to make here. Am I bluffing? Am I not bluffing? I don't think he gave himself enough time to really think this through. I think he acted a little bit impulsively, honestly. So check this out. I want to say he came over the top here. And I'm trying to think, like, what did he think we were doing this with? Like ace 10, ace 5. I don't know. I don't know. This just, the way I min this, it definitely seemed like, you know, two pair. Anyways, we're going to get it all in here. He is going to be drawing dead ace king, and, you know, I feel for him. But I think that if he calls us there, he's not going to, you know, get basically stacked for that much, maybe. I don't know. But it is what it is, and we took down a nice one right there, and I thought that was interesting. But we still got some other good stuff to go over here, so kind of like stick around, and, you know, we'll kind of just do our thing. Had an 8-5 here in the big blind. Now these type of hands, when you're in the big blind, definitely think it's reasonable to call like all the time. You know, if we don't have an 8-5 suited, it could be like a 10-7 suited, jack 7 suited. Those are all the type of hands here in the big that you're gonna want to see a flop with, especially from like a little bit of a late position raiser. Not really a good flop. I mean, a 6 would give us a straight, but we've got no spades, so we're not blocking the spades. So I wouldn't exactly say, you know, this is good. And then a turn card put another spade out there. We can't really do a whole lot here. It's not even worth bluffing at this point, but I think I did. Let me see if I did go for it. Yeah, I did. And my sizing was way too small. I think the only way this works is if I go a little bit bigger. But then again, he had a king there, so maybe he doesn't. I don't know. That was not a good bluff at all. Okay. But I still went for it. It just didn't work out. Okay, whatever. It happens, right? It happens. Can't play them all perfect. Yeah, here we go. All right, so I folded the ace 9 off. Whatever. It is what it is. Could have played it, didn't play it. You know, sometimes too, like when I'm first or second to act and I have like those hands where I could open, and it's not like it's going against like using GTO, you know, like a, you know, that's the thing too. Like I don't, a lot of the way I play, guys, is more about exploiting people at the table as opposed to having like a strategy, you know? I think it's hard for some to understand that, but I've been in the game for so long that I understand all the strategies. I just try to exploit opponents using them. And that's how I approach the game. You know, it's to outplay people at the table. That's how I approach this. It's not having a set strategy. That's just not a thing for me. Wow, that was a good call. Player four. All right, Jack seven, suited diamonds. We're always opening here. Took that one down, no resistance. Ace queen. All right, nothing there either. Had to fold the 2-3 suited. You know, I guess it's playable, you know, but I feel like 2-3 is like the only one I won't play. I mean, I still do every once in a while, but 3-4, 4-5, 2-3 though, you know. All right, anyways, player six took that down and we kind of move on here. All right, ace three. This is a hand that you're going to want to defend with. Even if you're up against a better ace, a lot of the time here, it's still worth defending in the big blind. Unless somebody opens like that, then you're just going to, you're mucking this. That is a ridiculous open. Kind of weird. Ace three back to back. What? What's happening here? All right, so I just limped here. Should have opened, and I didn't call. I actually just let that go. Let's just say I had a read on player six. All right, so here I'm going to open ace five, and I think we took that one down. In this hand right here, very, very tough spot. All right, we got a jack 10 of diamonds. We're on the button here. I'd argue a very strong hand on the button. Player one is going to raise us here. Now, if we go back a few hands, he did kind of open kind of weird, you know, when we had that ace three. We're going to make the call here. Plus, we're so deep in this that, yeah, we have to call. So we did pair the jack. We also have a 9 to a straight here. 10 on the turn, I don't know if it would be good, maybe. But we do, I mean, our hand is good enough to continue here as long as this guy doesn't, like, get too out of line. And I'm expecting him to continue here with whatever he's got, which he's going to do, and we're going to take it to the turn. After the turn card came, it was hard. It was really hard to figure this one out, you know. Player one's been playing pretty loose, but every once in a while, like if you show that kind of image at the table, you could run into a monster against somebody. So the turn card didn't really change anything here. We still need like a 9 to the straight. And I have no idea what player one has at this point. Now the pot is building, clearly, but just no idea what he's got. And this is where it got very hard because it was the sizing. And I'll tell you guys what, whenever you notice somebody taking their time like this, they usually have a strong hand. It's the ones that take their time. He went with a huge sizing here, 139. It was close. It was so close. I was like, should we, shouldn't we? To me here, it seems to me like he's repping kings, aces, maybe ace queen. I don't know. It feels like aces or kings to me. Doesn't feel like queens. I think queens, he probably played this a little bit slower. So I folded it. I saw the bad news, jack on the river. And yeah, that was just, he just put out a good sizing on us, guys, and I had to let it go. And I hated seeing the jack peel off there on the river. I was like, it was pretty upsetting. All right, anyways, ace four diamonds. We are going to hit two pair here. Very nice. Hoping to hit a four or an ace on the turn would be nice. It's a five. And we got to the river here. I had to put some value out there. I'm really just hoping this guy has a pair of aces and he just doesn't let it go. Went with a, not a huge sizing, just a little bit of value here. You know, he called us. I don't know what he had. Maybe he had an ace, maybe he had a queen, and he just wanted to keep us honest, which is totally possible. But yeah, so I got a few more hands to go over here, but I'm gonna kind of just wrap things up. I'd still watch this to the end, and I'm just gonna say like I said in the beginning here, like I know the pain of playing this, just not getting anywhere, and you know, all I can say is, guys, check out the pinned comment, tap the like, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you in the next one.